Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.
G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to the show. This week I have brought you to Alice Springs in Australia's Northern Territory as we take a step back into transport history in this week's Classic Restos on the road. It doesn't get much better than this, the centre of Australia. Some of the hardest conditions in the world are out here. Such a befitting place for the Road Transport Hall of Fame Museum.
I have filmed here before and it's a pleasure to return as there are so many additional changes. But before I go on, the National Road Transport Hall of Fame is an initiative of the Alice Springs-based Road Transport Historical Society Incorporated. The concept was born out of concern that most trucks from yesteryear were rusting away on rural properties and cattle stations. A public meeting was called in 1992. Just 3 years later, on July 31st, 1995, the National Road Transport Hall of Fame was officially opened. This place isn't about restored, pristine vehicles. It's more about how trucks were in their working lives, including the clever agricultural modifications and adaptations that bush mechanics and engineers had to undertake to ensure they could perform in Australia's harsh working environment. It's about the trials and tribulations of our road transports industry's pioneers, Australia's unsung heroes. And with Kenworth Australia being an integral part of Classic Restos, I can't wait to show you more of the Kenworth Dealer Hall of Fame. Australian made, world's best. Yep, and it's showcased here, all 11,000 square feet of it, or just over 1,000 square metres, to the digitally educated. This space is devoted to the history of the Australian designed and built Kenworth and the dealer network that brings this product and backup support to customers across Australia. The development of Kenworth in Australia makes an exciting story. The first chassis, 400008, is on display to the handover in 2005 of the 30,000th Australian-built truck. Alice Springs has long been a transport hub for one of the remotest regions in the world, over 2,000 kilometres from sea or other major population centres in any direction. The Kenworth Dealer Hall of Fame highlights the role that Kenworth has played in opening up the Australian continent, perhaps the remotest and harshest environment for trucks anywhere in the world. The displays are regularly augmented with new material, including additional trucks currently under restoration. The Kenworth Dealer Hall of Fame has already become a destination for all those people with a love of the trucking industry and the people who have helped shape the ongoing story. As you walk through the door of the main entrance, browse and read the story of Kenworth making history. And along the walls here, you can read the history behind the dealers that make up the Australian dealer network. And as we make our way into the magnificent J.J. Hurley Pavilion, named after the great man himself, Jim Hurley. The truck beside me here, the Grey Ghost, given its name by the overnighters back in the day. What we have here is a K125CR, chassis 400008, and the first truck to come off the Bayswater Victoria production line back in 1971. It's nice to see you again. Time for Jim now. How are you?
Well, thanks, Fletch.
That's the way. You've got a beautiful place that you come to work 1 week a month, I believe.
Great place, I do. I travel over from New South Wales, from south of Sydney, and come here and look after this fantastic facility. It's right here in the middle of Australia, and it's a great place to visit and to look after. It's a pleasure.
Jim, it's amazing. You're retired and you get to do this.
It is, yes. This has been my passion all my life, and I really enjoy coming over here and making sure these trucks are looked after, and just make sure they all run. They've all got to run and start and be fit for the road if needed, but they're here forever.
And Jim, inside the J.J. Hurley Pavilion here, named after the great man himself, Jim Hurley, got you this position as well, which is wonderful of Jim to do that.
That's right. I spoke with Jim Hurley at Clarendon Truck Show, and we organised that I would come here and look after this facility.
He's a great man, isn't he?
Fantastic. I've known him for many a year, being involved with Kenworth since the 1970s. So, yeah.
And the first appointed dealer by Kenworth as well, Brown and Hurley.
That's right. Brown and Hurley were the first one, and then followed by CMV. But
Okay, so Jim, tell us what the hall stands for. Some may call it a pavilion. It does show one thing. It's Kenworth's commitment to showcasing the quality of their product and their timeline as well.
Well, it does, Fletch. It's reflective of what Kenworth in Australia have done over the years. It's produced trucks that suited for this country. Kenworth Trucks Australia have appreciated the fact that they need to build a truck to suit Australian conditions. It's no good importing trucks, and we have, talking from a Kenworth point of view, we have imported Kenworth trucks from the US. They haven't been as successful as we would have liked, and that's why we have an engineering team in Melbourne that signify these trucks to suit Australia, and that's why Kenworth is so successful here.
It's an interesting point. So we've got one of the harshest lands in the world for road transport. The difference between an Australian-built Kenworth and the iconic American Kenworth, obviously just a few areas where we've got some heavy-duty components.
Well, there is, Fletch, particularly in the cabin. You know, the cabin structure is steel floor pan and so on, which suits Australia. From that, we can build a more durable truck, better chassis componentry, because we're carting higher weights than they do in the US or other parts of the world. So we do have to produce a truck to suit the conditions here.
So Jim, tell us, why put a transport museum smack bang in the middle of Australia?
Well, I guess Kenworth trucks being a heavy-duty truck, and the first road train started in Northern Territory, virtually running from Darwin Port and right down through the centre of the land. And then, so Kenworth decided, well, you know, we're right into road train prime movers. That's one of our main functions, to produce these trucks. So we thought, well, maybe that's what we will do. We do that well, so we'll continue to do that, and then join with the National Road Transport Hall and put them here.
How many trucks all up can we see in here?
Well, we have, in this pavilion, we have 47 in total, and out of that there's 21 are brand new trucks.
This is amazing in here. We've got new trucks, older trucks. We've got engines over there in the other part of the pavilion, you know, all set up. You know, we can walk around. We can have a look at the history of the Australian dealer network as well. There's so much information in here, Jim. It's an absolute credit to you, and on behalf of everybody watching and from a lot of people in the industry, keep up your fantastic work. Coming here, what a commitment. A week, a month to come out here to Alice Springs, and yeah, I know you're thinking that'd be a pretty cool thing to be able to do, but keep up your great work, Jim, hey?
Thanks, Fletch. Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity. Thank you.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke, and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
The pride and the conscientiousness just keeps on flowing here. How are you, Malcolm?
Good, thank you, Fletch.
That's the way. And you're retired as well from Kenworth?
Yes, correct. Yeah, 27 years and retired a couple of weeks ago.
How do you feel?
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to. You've retired, but you're still around what you love.
Exactly. Yeah. Still working up here and looking after this unique place.
So this is where it's no different to classic cars, classic bikes, that word of passion. And that's an important thing, isn't it? You keep that passion, keep the dream alive.
Very much so, yes, definitely.
That's great. How often do you get out to Alice Springs, Malcolm?
I was coming up around about 4 times a year, but now, after being retired, I'll probably come up here every couple of months with Jim and keep the work going.
Yeah, the dynamic duo.
That's it. You got it.
I think that's marvellous. I really do. I think it's a fantastic commitment that what the both of you are doing. Now, Malcolm, we could talk about a lot of trucks. There's plenty of them here. We're standing in the J.J. Hurley pavilion here. They're all special trucks, but there's one behind us that is quite iconic, used back in the day with Comet, Kwikasair, Ansett, the Grey Ghost.
Yes, that's the one. The very first truck off the line behind us here, as you said, affectionately known as the Grey Ghost. Incredible top speeds in these things. It was one of their winning formulas to get the freight moving quickly when the days of the speed limits were a little bit different.
Now, Malcolm, these were 100 mile an hour trucks, 160k an hour trucks, weren't they?
Correct, yes. Yeah, they were in their day.
But they weren't very heavy.
No, they travelled fairly light, but it was an express freight system. Yeah. So they travelled nose to tail at that speed, tailgating each other to keep the wind resistance down.
They were really the pioneers, weren't they, that sort of stuff?
They were, yeah, for sure.
Because that would have been an interesting time too, because their fathers before them, they would never have heard of driving transport at those speeds.
No, most definitely. No, it was just a revelation when they came out. Yeah. The V8 Detroit putting out plenty of power, so.
And the narrow day cab, well, obviously as well, they were used for overnight transport. There was no time for sleeping, Malcolm.
No logbooks and sleeping back then.
Now, Malcolm, it sits here in all its exuberance. Tell us about the restoration.
The restoration took place at the Bayswater factory by a team of guys at Bayswater very passionately put this back together. When the truck was new, we believe it was around about £12,000. When it finished its restoration, it was up around $150,000 as a restoration project for the factory.
I just think it's amazing that the first truck is here. Anything could have happened to it, and it went into service for many years, came out the other side, and here we are.
I believe it took a bit of tracking down by the people at the factory to chase the chassis number. It's 40008, I believe. It was found in a yard somewhere.
That was my next question. I bet it was just sitting in a yard for years. derelict almost.
Sorry, I believe it was in Sydney somewhere they found it, but yeah, they pulled it out and brought it back to Melbourne.
We learn as we go here. Malcolm, tell us, why did you choose to put brand new trucks in the pavilion?
When they calculated the cost to restore this truck, approximately £12,000 new and $150,000 to restore, they equated that back to a brand new vehicle at the time was, say, $350,000, and then equate that for 20, 30 years down the track as a restoration project, it would be horrendous. So the dealer council, Kenworth factory, put a group together and said from now on every new truck we build, we'll put a small percentage away and it'll pay for a brand new truck of each new model to go into the hall.
Classic Restos, myself personally, always pro-Australian manufacturing. Unfortunately, we have less of it these days. One proud thing to be an advocate for Kenworth Australia is that they are Australian manufacturers.
They are, for sure. They start with 2 chassis rails and the end product is a full drivable truck.
Malcolm, I want to thank you for your time today and congratulations on your retirement. And I think that's the dream of most people, to retire and then continue doing something that you love, and you're keeping the dream alive, mate. So congratulations, well done.
Thanks, Fletch. Appreciate it.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And of course, if you own a classic bike, a classic car or a classic truck, it just has to be insured with these guys. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au.
And here we are at the National Road Transport Hall of Fame in Alice Springs. The CEO, how are you, Nick?
Very well. A bit cold. It's only 1 degree, but yep, it's fine.
Isn't it incredible we're in the centre of Australia, known for being so hot, and we can actually say it's cold?
It is. 1 degree and -1 yesterday, but it's nice and sunny. At least it doesn't rain.
Now, Nick, talking of nice and sunny and creating that beautiful environment, which it is here in Alice Springs, what a job you have. This place must be dear to your heart.
It's not a job. It's an adventure. It's a place that, unless you love, I don't think anyone could do this without putting all your heart into it. It's, I would say it's my life. Even, I've been here 3.5 years, but the 3.5 years just went over like a day.
It's amazing. There's so many changes here. New sheds, there's additions here to the museum. Your mind must never stop ticking over as to what you're going to do and where you're going to go next.
Yes, that's about right. We were lucky enough this year. We got $3.5 million from anti-government. Thank you very much, anti-government. And that will secure the future of this place and the growth. And I really look forward to the next 3 years, or 4, to make this place a destination, not Alice Springs. When you come to Central Australia, come to National Transport Hall of Fame, and that's the reason to come here, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
And of course there are so many other things to do here in Alice as well, but as you say, it's an integral part. It's a world standard, it's a world-class museum here, and the success of every museum is diversity, and that's what you've nailed on the head here, because it's not just trucks.
That's correct, but at the same time, we cannot forget what we are build on. I mean, as you see behind us, it's a National Hall of Fame, and what we need to retain is that heritage of the truck drivers and people behind the wheel, people that build this country. I know it's a cliche, but when you say that, without trucks, Australia stops. But that's the truth. I spend a little bit of time behind the wheel, so I've got that diesel in my veins, and I know exactly what the truck drivers are going through. But at the same time, yes, diversity. Not everybody wants to see the Kenworths. Not everybody wants to see the trucks. And we're working on it. We have added RSL Military Museum to it. We are adding now bigger car collections. There's 26 antique cars coming from Adelaide. And as you see behind us, we've got quite a few here. So there will be things for everyone. At the same time, without forgetting what we are about, which is that Hall of Fame.
Nick, the tremendous 1920s and 30s cars behind us here, quick background there. Local cars, where have they come from?
They came from a museum in Darwin. They are part of a Darwin Museum collection that were, been here for 25 years. So.
The thing is it's the backbone of the transport industry, and I've always been an advocate for supporting that backbone. The transport industry here in Australia is so iconic. The photos on the wall over there, the Hall of Fame, it's a very emotional part of the museum. That's what it's all about. It represents past and present drivers, and it's just a lovely touch to see. It really is.
Yeah, it's something that quite a number of people actually make a special trip to see their loved ones. Yeah. What we've added last year, is a new recognition of women behind the men behind the wheel. So what I've seen over the years, that a lot of companies are being built by a man, of course, driving a truck. But there's the woman which does the books, which looks after the, everything that needs to be, at the same time running a house. So we want to recognize those women that are behind those guys driving it.
And of course the ladies that have driven as well,
of course. So we do have a recognition every year. We're starting last. We honor ladies that been involved in a transport industry, but not essentially driving it. So I'll give you an example. One of the companies I could say would be Marley Transport out of Perth. Started with one truck, wife and husband operation, and she was behind Frank all the way through. They both in their 70s, they still work, start at 5. The company got, I think, 128 trucks now. So that's sort of a women we want to, honor in our recognition.
And it's a hard industry. It's about survival. It's getting and retaining your contracts. It's a highly governed industry as well, where the pressure on the road. You've got point-to-point cameras. You've got the driver's logbooks. There's so much responsibility behind the wheel these days as well. It's not a job that just anyone can do.
Absolutely, and I think what we're seeing, a lot of people coming into this industry thinking that it's easy money, but it's not. No. It's not. The sacrifices, and you said the knowledge, what you need to know to drive a truck. It's not just simple as knowing how to change gears.
Yeah. And the reason the guys are successful is because they just never leave the job. Well, the guys are getting home at Saturday lunchtime. They have Saturday night at home. They wash their truck Sunday morning. They're maybe back on the road Sunday afternoon. That's a massive commitment, especially when you've got families.
Yeah, especially. And when you look at the truck drivers that missed all the reunions, all the birthdays, all the Christmases, and no one talks ever about that, but that's a sacrifice you do to make sure the country is running. So,
Nick, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's wonderful catching up with you. The 3.5 years you've had here so far, you've got some great runs on the board. Continue your great work. I'm sure that everybody's very supportive of this place, and there's a lot of people that are yet to come here to visit. I know they will. And keep up your great work, eh?
Thank you very much. Now, I look forward for everyone, all your viewers to come down here. Use my name as a sort of a code, and I'll give you a private tour.
There you go. Use Nick's name as a code. There's one thing I want to point out too on this episode, and I've said it before, it's a toe in the water. You could spend every day here for a month and film something. So I just hope that this episode has given you a little bit of a cross-section of just some of what you can expect to see when you visit this fantastic museum. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you for coming, Fletch. We look forward to see you again.
Rounding off with the pinnacle. Inside here, there's an eeriness of quiet.
as we walk around and pay respect to our past and present transport operators. The Hall of Fame, the spine of the Transportation Museum, wall after wall of soul. These are the legends, past and present. Large fleet operators to single owner drivers. They are all here. And the nicest part? This section is being added to continuously. I wish I could film every photo here for you. I know you could be watching, wondering if you will see a loved one or a great mate. This section can have you walking around for ages. This and more awaits you at the Road Transport Hall of Fame Museum. Try plan a visit here soon. The Road Transport Hall of Fame. What an incredible place. This episode, a toe in the water of just some of what you can expect to see when you visit here in Alice Springs. If there's one place in Australia to add to your travel destination, try and make it here. You'll be so glad that you did. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.